Haha! Good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm a bit flickery. One second. There we go. That's better. That fixed it. That fixed it. Cracking. So, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome to the Sunday morning live stream. Oh boy, are we ready for Are you ready for what the markets might look like on Monday? And if not, Tuesday, that's going to be even more fun. Oh boy. Um yeah, this week economically, this is going to be a fun week. Like this is going to be a fun week to watch charts, lines and graphs. Cuz oh boy. Oh boy. And like I say, if you follow any economists on Twitter, Blue Sky, etc., they are doom scrolling. They are like dooming so hard about what's going to happen to the US economy that they're all agreeing on one thing. They all have like different interpretations how it can happen, but they all agree on one thing that quite possibly this is going to be a Trump crash. Like Trump is going to potentially crash the US economy. So, yeah, that's totally not going to affect the rest of the world, right? Anyway, so before we begin properly, good morning to everyone joining us. Good morning. So, good morning to Dave W. Good morning to Cathal OG. Mike, good morning to you. Rebecca Noble, good morning to you as well. Vit Crew, good morning to you. Bakura, good morning to you. To Towels Kingdom, good morning to you as well. Patrick H, good morning to you as well. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Like I say, joining us. Like I say, even if you are sort of lurking, good morning, welcome. We're going to have sort of a pretty chilled one, I think, this morning because, quite frankly, I generally don't know what's going to happen over the next week, but there is going to be a lot of stories and stuff we're going to have to cover economically because it's just going to be one of those weeks. Unfortunately, this is just going to be one of those weeks where that is probably what we're looking at. That is what we're going to cover. And this is going to be bad because I generally thought, like, I seriously say this, and I have to wonder, everyone else in chat, did you really think Trump was going to go through with these tariffs? Because I was like, is he really going to go through with these tariffs, or is it going to be like last time where he just put a tariff on steel and like that was it? I thought that's what it was going to be. I thought it would just be maybe you would tariff something and that will be it because, you know, he wanted to try and, I don't know, renegotiate NAFTA again or something like that. But no, no, he has gone full bore on this for these tariffs. So we're looking at 25% tariffs for Canada and Mexico, 10% on China to begin with, and apparently those are going to ramp up because this month apparently we've got more coming. So I'm expecting at some point he's probably going to tariff the EU. He will probably tariff us. Likely he will probably tariff Panama because again you've got Marco Rubio going to visit Panama. We'll see how that goes as well. Because, while Trump was announcing those tariffs, people kind of missed that he threatened war against Panama. Like, did anyone else see that? That he threatened war against Panama? you know, got yeah. I just despair. Like I just despair. Like this is going to end so badly. Like this is going to end so badly, and it's going to affect everyone in the world for his stupid decisions that he's going to make. He wants the EU to open up to car sales. That's not going to happen because those US cars don't meet EU regulations. Basically, straight as. It's why you saw recently there was a whole thing about a Tesla Cybertruck. I can't remember where it was in Europe. Was it in the UK? I think it might have been in the UK. There was a Cybertruck that got confiscated by the police, and I think it was in the UK because you can't drive a Cybertruck in the UK because it does not meet any recommendations. It is considered illegal, like in the UK, because it doesn't meet half. Well, not even half. It doesn't come to close meeting any any standards of regulations that we would expect from our vehicles. Bakura, you'd think like this would be something that would end a presidency, but of course this is Trump. It depends how long the Republicans are going to go along with it, honestly. And I've said this from the beginning. I think there will come a point where the Republicans will just go, enough's enough. We've had this. We're reining him in. Like I have to wonder at what point that might happen. Like I have to wonder how far the Republicans are going to go. Because always remember Boris Johnson. You know, Boris Johnson, oh, he was so popular. Oh, he was so good. Yeah, he might lie. Yeah, he might do this. But there was always, you know, ratcheting up the conservative annoyance meter till eventually they were like, wait, we've had enough. He's gone. How high do we think the Republican annoyance meter on Trump is going to go? Like, where's the ceiling? How far do they go? How far do they allow him to get away with doing this kind of stuff? I think there's a ceiling. I really think they do. Patrick H, this is MAGA, though. The Republican Party is dead and buried. Not completely. I mean, there's still plenty of, again, they're absolutely awful and terrible, quote, normal Republicans who have bent the knee for their own political salvation because they've had to. But how long will it take before even they go, we're out? You know? How long? Maggie Pie, good morning to you as well. And good morning to everyone else joining us as well. Maggie Pie, has Trump completely lost every single marble, or have Hyde just forgotten how bad his first term was? It's not you. It's not you. I can say that. I will agree with you on this. This feels like we are seeing like Trump do the presidency at speed. Like it really does feel like that. It feels he's only been in power, a couple of weeks now, and yet it honestly feels by Easter, I don't know, we'll be seeing him kicking kids into the volcano. I say that sarcastically, but that's what it feels like. It feels like, look, by Easter, he'll be absolutely speed running so much of his presidency. It really does feel that way. Really does feel that way. Dr. Rapperman underestimated how stupid people can be. What was the saying? I think it was Abraham Lincoln. You can fool most of the people some of the time, but you can't fool people all the time. I can't remember how the saying goes now, but how long will the American people be willing to go through all this stuff. Because remember, Trump made a lot of promises. Promises he's not going to be able to keep. Promises he's not going to be able to keep at all. Good morning, Charles, as well. We must now tie Farage to Trump and save every Trump praise a video and throw it back at him later. Absolutely. Absolutely on that. That's very true. Boris did not react to Pincher's weird behavior very decisively. That's why the MPs moved against him. It wasn't just that. It wasn't just that. It was everything else that ramped up. It was everything on top of that. You know, the Pincher scandal was the straw that broke the camel's back. That was the thing. That really was the thing where they went, right, we're done. You know, it had just been building up constantly on top of all those things. Oh. Yeah, all those who could tell him no are now never Trumpers. Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. That very true indeed. And of course, Maggie Pie making use of a membership benefit, part of the Pony Club. You too can join the Pony Club down below. So yeah, it's going to get wild this week. It really is going to get wild. This is going to be a week where you see a lot of graphs. Where you see a lot of graphs, you see a lot of numbers, and you will see a lot of lines. As an example, Dr. Rapperband gifting 5 memberships out there. Thank you very much for that. So this is, let me just show you. This was what I could find as a graph, because I was looking at the rate of US inflation. Hopefully that's big enough. Hang on, let me make myself smaller. There we go. So as you can see, this is US inflation. So it peaked back in March at 3.5. So you can see inflation in America last year peaking at 3.5. And then, as you can see, it slowly started to come down till you reach September. And what happens in October? That's when the election really kicks off in America. So it goes from 2.4, 2.6, 2.7 in November. And then in December, it jumps to 2.9. I wonder why in December in American inflation suddenly jumped to 2.9 after November. I wonder why. But this is inflation last year. When all these Americans keep on telling you how bad inflation was, Biden was dealing with inflation. Inflation was going down. Inflation was going down like crazy in America. I mean, just look between May and June. It went from 3.3 down to 3, then down to 2.9, then down from 2.9 to 2.5 in August, dropping to its lowest it had been to 2.4 in September. I am not an economist. But I guarantee you, maybe by the end of this week, you are going to see inflation maybe go higher than 3% in America. I think inflation is going to be higher than 3%. I really do. And that's going to be very, very bad for Trump. Very, very bad indeed. Yeah. I hate charts that don't start at 0. Well, this is the wrong week to hate charts. this is the wrong week to hate charts, I'm afraid. Uh, Zaldaron, good morning to you. Happy tariff day to all. Well, the tariffs don't start until Tuesday. The tariffs don't kick in on Tuesday. The markets will probably respond, I think, probably tomorrow. I'll be very surprised if they don't respond to what some of the stuff that Trump has done tomorrow, but we'll see. Like I say, this is going to be a week where we watch lines. Maggie Pie, I'm very pessimistic about the remaining Republicans will ever have had enough of Trump. I think that there will be. I really think they will. I think you saw a lot of Republicans look at Liz Truss and go, wow, that was that was maybe a bit of a warning on that one. But we'll see what happens on there. Viku, checked my phone, noticed there was a countdown for a live stream, and now I'm already a member of the Pony Club. I need my coffee. Too much too early. Well, welcome to the Pony Club. I will share this. I am very much on with this one, Yvonne. I'm amazed that Starmer hasn't done a statement about Canada as they are part of the Commonwealth and the UK is an important member. I think at the moment you are seeing a lot of people duck and covering, hoping that they can do what they did last time, that you can somehow talk Trump down. I think I generally think that's what a lot of countries are trying to do, hoping that last time it was just all talk and that maybe they can talk Trump down. Because another thing I want to keep an eye on also happening this week, the Japanese Prime Minister and is meeting with Trump this week at some point. And Trump, of course, threatening tariffs on Japan. So we will see if the Japanese Prime Minister, if he has a talk, can he maybe save Japan? Like, can he maybe save Japan from tariffs? I don't know. I was kind of shocked that Taiwan got those. Pardon me. I was kind of shocked that Taiwan got those tariffs because he's tariffed their chips. I don't know if people have seen that. That is kind of shocking. Like a key US ally. Like a key US ally, and they have done that to Taiwan, a major Taiwanese industry. They've tariffed chips. That does not look good. That does not look good at all. Especially if you are hoping, I don't know, maybe to dissuade China from, maybe invading Taiwan, because that might send out the wrong signal. Because always remember, the Korean War started because at that time, the then, I think it was defense secretary, might have been their foreign secretary, although I know they don't call it the foreign secretary, basically did not mention Korea. Like they were left out of what was considered to be a very important speech on Asian Pacific security in the Pacific for like what America's interest, and they did not mention Korea in that speech, and that was the signal that gave Mao, not Mao, Kim Jong Il. I can't remember which Jong it was, but that's when he went right. That's my green light to take the rest of the peninsula. So yeah, that's how does China interpret that? How will China interpret that? Oh, you've put tariffs on their number one export to your country? How serious is Mr. Trump about actually defending Taiwan? That's bad. That's very bad. Oh, hang on. There we go. Isn't the US part of the World Trade Organization? It is. It is. But always remember, Trump never appointed any judges to the WTO, meaning that during Trump's first term, the WTO almost couldn't operate because he hadn't appointed any judges. Biden did, but even by then, they were still having to deal with backlogs of cases. So, and Trump's not going to appoint anyone to the WTO. And if the WTO does do anything against these tariffs or anything like that, do you think Trump's going to listen? Because the WTO, yes, it has rulings, but it's up to then that country's judicial system to then enforce that. Do you think Trump's pick for his attorney general is going to turn around and say, Mr. Trump, we've had this ruling from the WTO. I've got to, enforce this ruling. Do you think she's going to do that? Do you think she's going to do that? I don't think she is. I don't think she is at all. Like, it is going to be like it's going to be yeah, the worst thing about all this, and I will tell you this right now. The worst thing about all of this is the unpredictability. It's just the sheer unpredictability of what Trump's going to do next. Just from him coming into office, putting these tariffs in, doing the stuff that he's already done so far. It's just unpredictable. It's just unpredictable, and you can't plan for that. That just sheer unpredictability of it. And we're going to get into in a moment the responses from Mexico's prime minister and, of course, Canada's minister as well. What Justin Trudeau had to say, because I think it is very, very much worth going over what they've had to say and what they've done in response, or what they're going to do in response to these Trump tariffs. So we'll see. Yeah. Canada and Mexico playing accordingly. The EU stands ready. Well, like I say, apparently the EU's next. What I don't know what he's going to give tariff-wise to the EU, but I suppose we'll find out maybe next week, or at least not maybe in the coming weeks. Compared to this iteration of Trump, I already miss Johnson. I think. Oh, don't we all? Don't we all? And bear in mind, this is why in America you've got a lot of people looking back at like George W. Bush. They've got a lot of people looking back at like George W. Bush and going, gee, George W. Bush might have been an idiot, but at least he wasn't Donald Trump. Yeah, Trump hates all transnational organizations who withdrew from the WHO last week. He hates the EU just as much as Putin, all because he cannot bully organizations like the EU. Yeah. And that's going to have big repercussions as well. That is going to have very big repercussions. Trump leaving the WTO. Like I've said it before, Hope we don't have another pandemic. Hope we don't have another pandemic. Good morning, Surfing. Half of all foreign-owned company assets in Canada are US-owned. Trump is shooting his own companies in the foot. Yeah, but Trump doesn't care. Trump does not care. Trump does not care. So it's yeah. On this, we've got to take a wait and see attitude. Like we've just got to literally now sit and wait and see what happens because we don't know what's going to happen. I think this is the big thing that maybe people were just underestimating, that in his second term, Trump was just going to be absolutely unpredictable. And bear in mind, like so much has happened because I don't know if people follow Kyle Kalinske. Like, I don't know if people follow him, but he's a very good lefty American news commentator. He did a video this weekend, and he was just like, I don't even know where to begin. So much has happened. Like, so much has just happened in like the span of 24 hours. I just don't even know where to begin. Because it's not just the tariff things. Trump has done a whole range of things recently. And there's all this stuff going on with Elon Musk in the Department of Doge. If you haven't heard about some of the stuff that's been going on in there. So a ton of stuff has been going on in America. A ton of stuff. And you're just this tariff stuff, talking about this tariff stuff, barely scratching the surface of what Trump has done in like the past 24, 48 hours. Barely scratching the surface. So let's have a look at how Mexico's president has responded. Because I want to get into. Oh, hang on. I'm a bit. Let me just remove myself, and I'll. There we go. I might have physics fix. No. Still like this, but never mind. Anyway, we're gonna have a look at this. Oh no, I'm back. Pardon me. So yeah, we're gonna have a look at this. This is from Reuters. This is what the Mexican president has had to say about this. Yeah. Vivek has already jumped ship. Probably a very clever decision. Oh, yeah. Hey, I have a lot of bad things to say about, Vivek Ramaswamy, but I'll tell you what, him jumping might have been probably the most clever decision he has ever made. Oh, anyway, Craig. Oh, Craig, good morning to you. Good morning to everyone else joining us as well. Like I say, good morning, good morning, good morning. So let's go over the response from the Mexican president. So this is from Reuters. Mexico revows retaliation to the Trump tariffs without now detailing its targets. Like I say, we'll probably find out very quickly about what those are going to be. So, in a very lengthy post on Twitter, Scheinbaum said that a government now sought to dialogue rather than confrontation with its top trading partner, but that Mexico had now been forced to respond in kind. She said, I've instructed my economic minister to implement the plan B that we've been working on, which includes tariffs and non-tariff measures in defense of Mexico's interests, Scheinbaum posted, saying without specifying what the U.S. government, what the U.S. goods her government actually intended to target. Hang on, do we have a link to those tweets? So I actually trying to want to see what she said. Oh no, hang on. Let me try and find. Hang on. Gosh, you'd think it would be really easy on Twitter to like find, like a president of a country responding to this. But no, of course, it's Twitter. It's now an absolute hell site. Of course, it's more difficult than necessary to find these things. Hang on. So Twitter. I think this is it. Here we are. So let's move over to this. Because then, yeah, you can see this better. You get a better understanding of what she's saying here. So we categorically reject the White House slander against the Mexican government of having alliances with criminal organizations. Yeah, remember, guys, that's what Trump also said as well. And another thing that went under the radar, is the stuff Pete Hegseth said as well. We'll get into that in a moment. Oh, thank you very much, Maggie Pie, for your super chat. Treacherous, repugnant, unhinged, malicious, and prudent. Yep. Well, that's just Donald Trump, really, isn't it? But thank you very much for your super chat there. But yeah, like Pete Hegseth, you've got to remember one thing that Trump has done. Like, the first things he did on day one was he has designated cartels, like drug cartels, as terrorist organizations. Meaning, as Pete Hegseth has just reiterated very recently, he may take actions, military actions, meaning they can strike into Mexico, and he has not ruled out the possibility of putting American special forces on the ground in Mexico. So that is war with Mexico. Like, I can see it happening, because Pete Hegseth will do exactly whatever Trump tells him to. Like, Pete Hegseth will do exactly whatever Trump tells him to do. And if Trump says, go bomb some cartels, he'll go bomb some cartels. And then what does Mexico respond to? Like, how does Mexico then respond to that? Like I say, there's just so many things of this absolute deranged Trump that we now have sitting in the White House, where so much of this stuff could just spiral. Just spiral and spiral and spiral. And this time, remember, there's seemingly no adults in the room. This time, there was no one to talk Trump down off his tariff stance. And I'll say this now, there's only Marco Rubio, I think. But is Marco Rubio actually going to be strong enough? Because he's visiting Panama this week. So we'll see what happens around his visit. Yeah. What happens when Trump goes, right, go seize the Panama Canal? Could happen. Now, that's the terrifying thing. That could happen. Anyway, back to this. So he's slandering against Mexican government having alliances with criminal organizations, as well as any intention of intervention into our territory. That's why I'm saying what Pete Hegseth has said, what Trump has said about that as well. If such an alliance exists anywhere, it is in the United States armories that sell high-powered weapons to these criminal groups, as demonstrated by the United States Department of Justice in January of this year. And oof, she is right. She is absolutely right on that. These Mexican cartels get more guns from the USA than anywhere else, which, if they've got all these high-powered weapons, makes it a bit of a problem for Mexico to try and deal with them if they've got all these high-powered weapons. In just 4 months, our government has seized more than 40 tons of drugs, including 20 million doses of fentanyl. It has also arrested more than 10,000 people linked to these groups. So when Trump says that Mexico isn't doing anything, so when he says that when he says all this type of things that Mexico isn't doing anything, they are. It's just Trump doesn't think that's good enough, which is all the more terrifying. If the United States government and its agencies wanted to address the serious consumption of fentanyl in their country, they could. For example, they could combat the sale of narcotics on the streets of their main cities, which they do not, and the money laundering generated by this illegal activity that has done so much harm to their population. She is absolutely 100% right there. America, if it wanted to, if Trump wanted to, he could do that. He could do that instantly. But they choose not to. Because if they did, that means that America would have to maybe strengthen its money laundering rules a lot more. And, well, a lot of, shall we say, rather rich people suddenly wouldn't like that those rules got strengthened. Like I say, big problem. Big problem on that. Again. But she's right. She's absolutely right on that. They could also start a massive campaign to actually prevent the consumption of these drugs and take care of their young people, as we have done in Mexico. Drug consumption and distribution in their country, and there is the public health problem they have not addressed. And she's right there again. It is a public health problem. They have not addressing it. They won't address it because, they would have to do all kinds of things and they ain't going to do it. I say that is directly against any Republican mantra that they would do. In addition, the synthetic opioid epidemic in the United States has its origin in the indiscriminate prescription drug use of this type, authorized by the Food and Drug Administration, as demonstrated by a lawsuit against a pharmaceutical company. Again, she's not wrong. Mexico does not want confrontation. We start from collaboration between neighboring countries. Mexico not only does not want fentanyl to reach the United States, but anywhere. Therefore, if the United States wants to combat criminal groups and traffic drugs that generate violence, we must actually work together in an integrated manner, but always under the principles of shared responsibility, mutual trust, collaboration, and above all, respect for sovereignty, which is not negotiable condition. Yes to coordination, subordination, no. So I think that is a very, very strong response. Like that, I think is a very, very strong response. A very strong response. Just in that paragraph alone. That is a very strong response to Trump. The fact that you're going, look, we can work together on this. I am very much, probably a very, very much internationalist when it comes to some of this stuff. So I like when countries work together. I like it when we come up with solutions, together and countries working together. That is good. But however, Trump does not care about that. And as a result, no. So if I were America, I would be very worried. I would be very worried because it really does look like you are going to get incursions into your territory, maybe by US Special Forces. If not, you may even find that you get attacked by a drone strike. Yes, it might be against a drug cartel, but that is still America striking Mexican territory. And that is an act of war, even if it is against a criminal organization. That's going to be a big problem. So, yeah, I had 4 years of peace before all this. Hey, hey, always remember Biden opened his presidency. Biden opened his presidency by saying these words that America was now back and it was ready to re-engage on the world stage with its partners. The exact opposite, the exact opposite has happened now. Oh, good morning, Christopher. Good morning to you. Good morning to everyone else joining as well. But yes, good morning from the not 51st state. um, but anyway, let's finish this off. So, to this end, I proposed to President Trump that we establish a working group with our best public health and security teams. Not going to happen. These problems are, of course, not resolved by imposing tariffs, but by talking and dialogue, as we did in recent weeks with your State Department to address the phenomenon of migration, in our case, with respect for human rights. The graph that President Trump has been posting on social media about the decline in migration was created by my team. Wow. Trump stealing someone else's homework. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? Which has now been in constant communication with this. I now instruct the Secretary of the Economy to implement Plan B that we have been working on, which includes tariffs and non-tariff measures in defense of Mexico's interests. Nothing by force, everything by reason and right. So there you have it. That's Mexico's response. And we'll probably find out more about what Mexico is going to respond with probably in the coming week as well. So we'll see what happens. We'll see. We will see what's happening on that front when that comes in. That's for certain. So that will be fun. That will be fun when we get to see how Mexico responds on that. Like I say, we'll probably get a response this week. Canada, of course. Now we come to what Canada has responded with, because Trudeau's response is a bit bland, but I'll tell you what, it's what was needed as well. It's what was needed for as well. Now, Canada now announces retaliatory tariffs on longtime ally US. I think that says it all. They are announcing retaliatory tariffs on longtime ally. Says it all. Because if anything, with Trump going through these tariffs and pretty much at this moment in time ripping up NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, with him ripping up that, why ever do a deal with America? Because all you are doing all you are doing is potentially maybe doing a deal with the Democrat president, and it's not just NAFTA, it's the Iran deal as well. Remember, the Iran deal was a really good deal by Obama. A really good deal. And yet, what did Trump do in his first term? Ripped it up, said it wasn't good enough. He didn't understand it. Didn't understand how it worked. Didn't understand how it got everything America wanted from Iran, while Iran got their money back. Though that was, their money. But America and pretty much everywhere else who said, yeah, we don't really want we don't really want the Iran to have nuclear weapons. That Iran nuclear deal, we got that. And yet Trump ripped it up because, again, he didn't understand it. It's it just goes to show you that you could make a deal with a Democrat-led America, but if a Republican comes in and he's as mad as Donald Trump, what's the point? You maybe have a deal for what? 4, 8 years. And then what? A Republican comes in and just rips it up? Donald Trump has just shown the world that America is not a reliable partner. And when that comes to international relations, when it comes to international diplomacy, that is not good. That is not good at all. And yeah, exactly. Everything is going to be chaos in North America starting tomorrow. Oh, I can bet you it will be. I can bet you it will be. I bet we have yet to see the chaos that is going to be unleashed next week because of these tariffs. So what's this? Costco was overrun yesterday and shelves were empty by late morning. Yeah, doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me. Cathode G, thank you very much for the super chat. My small party, not mine, got its first ever seat in Ireland's upper chamber yesterday, with 2 now in the lower. Such is the beauty of the PR STV. I'm guessing. Oh yeah, PR there. Obviously that's the PR single transferable vote. Yeah. I was like, PR STV, is that? I haven't heard of that party before, but no, it's the PR system. Yeah, good for that. Like I say, Ireland. I actually know someone who is actually in Ireland's parliament. She got elected very recently, Kira. I'm going to see if I can try and get her on at some point. I think that would be really interesting, but I don't know if I might be able to get her on while she's a member of parliament. Again, I'm not too sure what the rules and stuff she might have to follow, but I think it could be a fun conversation. So I might try and reach out to her and try and get in contact with her on that. But no, thank you very much for your super chat on that. So now, yeah, exactly. Where is that? How was it? Yes. Dandovan, good morning to you as well. Yeah, also remember the Democrats never actually reinstated that Iran deal when they got back into power either. Anyone who does a deal with the US from now on is a sucker. The big problem was that Democrats did want to redo it. Biden wanted to redo it. The problem became why it didn't happen. The problem became why it didn't happen was because the Iranians wanted guarantees that Trump couldn't come back in and just rip it up again. Like, they wanted guarantees. And as the Democrats said, we can't guarantee that because that's not how our system works. To which Iran went, well, why sign one? Why sign another deal that, let's face it, if Biden had re-signed the Iranian deal, I guarantee you on the first day, he would have ripped up that deal again. Like, if you're Iran, why sign that deal? if you know it's going to be ripped up again in 4 years. That's why they were looking for guarantees to make sure that that wouldn't happen again. But they couldn't. They couldn't get those guarantees on it. So it's going to be wild. It is going to be wild because you can't trust America now as a partner. You cannot trust America as a partner. You cannot trust them for international deals. You cannot trust them for trade deals because sure, you might sign one with a Democrat, but if a Republican comes in, who knows, right? Who knows? Who knows what he'll do? Christopher, hang on, you just posted something else. Where are you? Hang on, where is it? Christopher, oil is Canada's only strategic weapon. Oh, absolutely. That's why Trump put a 10% tariff on it rather than applying 20%. Now, I will tell you this now. If I were Canada, I'd be going, okay, you want our oil? Here's a tariff. Like, here's a tariff for exporting any, not only oil and gas to America. That's what I would do if I were Trudeau. I would do that because oh boy, you want to make Trump really annoyed, angry. Slap that tariff on. Slap that tariff on. That you will be. Oh boy. Oh boy. Would he be? Would he be annoyed at that? And here's the other thing as well. I think this is what we should be doing as Europe. If I were Keir Starmer, right now, as soon as Trump had announced that, I'd be straight on the phone to Trudeau and going, yo, Trudeau, you know how there's like no energy infrastructure on like the eastern seaboard of Canada that will help transfer like LNG or oil to Europe, and that you have to rely on a pipeline that goes all the way down through to like Louisiana or something. How would it sound if I went and talked to the rest of European leaders and we got like a deal to go and build, that infrastructure for you so you can start exporting all that energy, which we really need at the moment, over to us? That would have been my open. If I was Keir Starmer, that would be my opening play. I'd be going, what do you think, Justin? Tell me what you think. I'll go talk to the rest of Europe. I guarantee you, they'd be like, hell yes. Because remember, Europe lost a lot, still lost a lot from all that Russian oil and gas. Oh, is it 35% came from Russia or something like that? Which, bear in mind, the Norwegians have been trying to fulfill that demand, but their energy market just isn't big enough to meet that demand. They've been trying, but their energy market just isn't big enough to meet that demand. So at this point, oh boy, we should be going to Canada and saying, let's build that infrastructure. Let's build that infrastructure. Let's get that oil and gas into Europe. Because I'll tell you what, we need that. Like, if these tariffs are going to be coming on the EU, well, guess what? Hey, you suddenly got a lot of oil and gas buyers suddenly going, all that, that American, gas and oil that we were buying. Suddenly, that might be Canadian oil and gas we're buying. I say I would be absolutely going on going speaking to Justin Trudeau. If I was Starmer, I'd be going, hey, let's get that infrastructure set up so that we can start getting Canadian oil and gas over here. And bear in mind, it will take some time. Bear in mind, it will take some time. It will take some time to do that. Maybe, again, depending how fast you can actually, build that infrastructure, of course, because there is a time thing. Might take, again, depending how fast you do it, but as they say, money talks. Money talks. So we'll see. But that's what I would be doing if I were Keir Starmer. I would be talking immediately on the phone saying, hey, let's find a way to get that oil and gas into Europe. Because if those Trump tariffs are going to come on Europe, you can absolutely guarantee it's going to be an oil and gas as well. And that's going to make energy crisis in Europe a lot more problematic as well. A lot more problematic. So, yep. Good morning to everyone else. I've just noticed we've just gone from 40 to 60. So, has someone raided us and I haven't noticed? Has someone directed something to you? I don't know. Let me have a look. No, I can't see one. But oh well. Yes, but good morning to everyone else joining us. By the way, I can see people. We've got people in Twitch chat as well. Do we read Twitch chat? Yes, we do. There you go. I say I'm mainly on YouTube, so I focus a lot on, of course, my YouTube viewers. But hello to the people we've got in Twitch chat. Hello. I've just realized that we have Twitch viewers, so hello. Hello to you on that. Like I say, I'm not ignoring you. I just don't have a lot of Twitch viewers normally. So, but hello. But if you do want to come and join us over on YouTube, come join us. You're more than welcome to do that. Do I play D&D? Of course I play D&D. He says, I can't show you my books. Hang on, I'll show you my books. Just to, prove my credentials. Hang on. Ta-da! There you go. There's my D&D books. Oh. But yeah, I said it before for those joining us, but prepare for this week to see a lot, and I mean a lot. I mean a lot of graphs this week, because you are going to see so many graphs and lines and charts this week because of these tariffs. A lot of lines and graphs this week. It is going to be crazy. It is going to be crazy how many graphs and lines you're going to see this week. Like, we know that these tariffs kick in on Tuesday. We don't know if the market's really going to react on Monday, whether it will react on Tuesday. I don't know, but expect to see a lot of graphs and stuff this week. So let's have a look at what Trudeau's response was. Because Trudeau's response, again, was pretty good. I think a bit bland, but at the same time, it's what honestly you need to say. And the big part, of course, is response that, hey, we are going to match you dollar for dollar. You tariff us, we are going to match you dollar for dollar. And again, that is important, that they are sticking their feet in the ground. And I'll tell you this now. I think it's Carney. Potentially, they're talking about being Trudeau's successor. Carney came out hard If I was running to be Canada's next prime minister and I was in the Liberal Party and I was going to run for leadership, I would run hard that I am going to be anti-Trump. I am going to be the man who defends Canada. I'm not like that weak-willed, conservative politician who whimpered and, kowtowed to Trump. I'm going to be hard. I'm going to be standing up for Canada. And that's what I think, if he's smart, that's what you make the next Canadian election about. That is what you make it about. Thank you very much, Maggie Pie, again, for your super chat. Chaos can't be trusted when it comes to international relations. Haven't we seen this kind of circus before? I think it starts with B or something. Yeah, it does start with B. Brexit. So, yeah, we have seen this kind of international chaos before. And the big problem, as was shown, was that Boris and the Conservatives were just not interested in speaking to Europe. Just weren't interested in speaking to Europe. And we have seen that mood music change immediately the second Starmer's government has come in. We have seen that Europe has responded very, very positively to those overtures as well. And that is good. That is a very, very much good sign for things to come as well. And I've also said as well, the more Trump, the more this orange hurricane starts to blow and cause a storm in the Atlantic, the more we are going to end up being blown back into Europe. It's just inevitable, massively inevitable, because I'll tell you what, a lot of Brexit supporters were kind of Donald Trump supporters at the same time, and then they saw how Donald Trump was in his first term. It turned a lot of them off. They are going to see how Trump is playing out in the second term, and oh boy, there's going to be even less of them. There's going to be even less of them now. Yep. Orange hurricane, I like that. Exactly. So yeah, it is going to be it is going to be wild. It is going to be wild, but I think you're going to see a lot of changes. I think you're going to see really well, we're already seeing it, the sort of, the soft sort of, re-engaging with sort of Europe, with the, European sort of countries and sort of re-talking to things like that. So that is very good. That is a very massive positive step forward. So yeah, Copenhagen criteria. Yeah, we can meet that. We can meet that very easily. Like it's called, and I've said this before, Vee, I've said it before. It's called EU alignment bill. We've done it before. We can do it again. We are an advanced democracy. It is doable. Easy peasy. Ask any EU professor. They all say the same thing. We can do it. Easy as that. UK doesn't meet any of it. Sorry, but we do. And we can very easily. But anyway, let's see what Canada had to say about this. Let's go to Trudeau's response, because I think Trudeau's response, again, I think he should have gone really hard. I think we saw Mexico's president respond. I think it was hard. Like, I think it was really hard, like her response. I think Trudeau should have gone just as hard. Like, he was not hard enough. I think, of course, him announcing the response to the tariffs, I think was good, but I think he should have gone even harder, really hard on this. So what did he have to say on this? So Canada will now retaliate against Donald Trump's new tariffs with a 25% levies on raw US imports. Justin Trudeau said on Saturday morning, warning Americans that Trump's actions would have real consequences for them. As relations now between these longtime allies who share the world's largest land border reached a new low, Trudeau told the news conference that he was slapping 155 billion Canadian dollars, or 170 billion now on US goods. Those would at least be 30 billion would take effect on Tuesday, the same day, of course, as Trump's tariffs, with duties now on the remaining 125 billion in the next 21 days. And again, that is smart because he said this as well during that press conference. He said this as well during that press conference, that you can sort of go in and say, the reason why these aren't coming in is Canadian companies need time to go and refine new sources. They need to go and find new places to get those goods. And having that time to do that is smart. He is very smart for saying that, because Canadian companies, well, probably if you work for a Canadian importer, I would not be surprised if you've had quite the hectic weekend. Like, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if he brought these in. Like, I would not be surprised if he brought these in. So, yeah. The auto industry is going to suffer so much. Does no one realize that to make a car in the US, it often goes back and forth to Canada? The same process is, of course, done there. And some are done here in the US. These tariffs, each time it crosses the border, are just going to be nuts. Yep. They don't care. They don't care. That's the worrying thing. They just don't care about how the modern economy works. They just don't care. But yeah, like I say, I would not be surprised if if you work for a Canadian import firm, or you import stuff from America, if you are part of a Canadian company that does that, I would not be surprised if you got a phone call Saturday morning and saying, yeah, can you come into work today? Like, it would not shock me to find that out. It would not shock me to find out that there have been a lot of very, very busy Canadians this weekend trying to find out alternative sources for US imports. Would not surprise me. Would not surprise me in the least to find that. So Trudeau's announcement came hours, of course, after the 25% tariffs were ordered on Canada and, of course, the Mexican governments, and at least 10% on goods from China. That's another one as well. Those China tariff, Trump said that's going to raise potentially. So it could start at 10% and go to who knows what. And it's whatever Trump likes. That's the other thing that never got covered. That's the other thing that never got covered in that press conference where Trump's announcing these tariffs. Like, someone straight up says to him, Mr. President, you're doing these tariffs. What are you hoping to get? Are you hoping to get concessions, or what are you hoping to get in return from these tariffs? He just turns around and he says, I don't want anything. So he's just putting these tariffs, not because he actually wants anything. He's just doing it because he can. I'll tell you what now. I would not be shocked, because of the way that Trump is acting. I would not be shocked if there maybe starts a conversation in America about actually looking and reviewing the powers that the US president actually has. Like, I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked to see that. I would not be shocked if these actions that Trump does, and it ends up so disastrously, as everyone is thinking that they are going to end disastrously. I would not be surprised if conversation starts in America of, yeah, maybe the presidential office is a bit too much power. Maybe we should rethink about the power structures and about what happens, in America and how power sort of flows in our system. Will it happen? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think the Republicans are certainly a bit too married to the current system, so I can't really see it changing drastically. But hey, maybe it changes a bit. Maybe it does change a bit. Oh, Christopher again. My fuel pump on my car last week was around $1,100 for a tiny little motor. The gouging has started several weeks ago. Yeah, I think you had a lot of companies preparing for this. I think you had a lot of companies really preparing for this. You saw a lot of companies like steel companies last week from Canada and Mexico. They stopped orders. Like they basically went, right, we're stopping all orders to America because we don't know if Trump is serious about these tariffs or what he's going to do. And well, now they know. Now they know. He wants manufacturing in the US, but the problem is that we do not have the infrastructure to actually build from scratch here, nor do we have the workers to do it, even if we did. Yeah. Again, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of how the modern economy works, how modern manufacturing works. Just completely fundamental misunderstanding of how it all works. Because a lot of his supporters think, oh, you go to factory, you take wrench, and you start, you're doing this on the assembly line, But that's not how it works anymore. Manufacturing is massively automating even more faster. It's becoming more and more robots. And you are seeing now factories being dominated by the robot arms. So the skill level of people needed to work in modern manufacturing is jumping up. So you need to be going from what used to be you could leave secondary school and you could go work in manufacturing because that was the level that you used to need, has now jumped up. You now probably need a university degree, and you probably need a university degree in robotics. Because you need to be able to maintain these robots. So you need to be able to fix these robots, but also in computer programming, because obviously you need to program these robots to do what they do. You need to monitor that stuff. So manufacturing fundamentally massively changing, massively so. In fact, now it's bad for America, but actually really good for the rest of us. One of the best things that actually Trump did in the first couple of open days, he trashed the Inflation Reduction Act, and apparently he's going to trash the CHIP Act that Biden signed. Now, those two acts were two of probably the best things Biden did during his term. However, really bad for manufacturing and chip production over here. Really, really bad for us. We've lost chip manufacturers, we've lost advanced, manufacturing over here in the UK and in Europe because of that. Not anymore. Not anymore, because Trump is already pulling apart. He's already pulling apart that. And quite frankly, that's good for us. I'm sorry, America, but he's pulling apart one of Biden's biggest achievements. Hey, and that's good for us. That's very good for us. But yes, good evening, good afternoon now. Yeah, it's just coming up to 11 o'clock here. Good afternoon, everyone joining us, both on sort of the YouTube and of course in Twitter, not Twitter, Twitch. I'm so used to having a Twitch audience, but I've actually got some people in Twitch. But if you want to come join us over on YouTube, like I say, you're more than welcome to on this, or you can you can stay in Twitch. But like I say, I am normally used to sort of reading what I see on the YouTube stuff. But yeah, um, yeah, wild. Oh, that's another thing as well. Yeah, if you are planning a computer upgrade, do it sooner rather than later because chips are about to skyrocket. If you remember during the pandemic and post pandemic, like chips and like computers just went woof. So yeah, I do a I would get if you're going to upgrade your computer or you're looking at upgrading your computer in any way, I would do it sooner rather than later. I would do it sooner rather than later on this. Anyway, let's finish off what Canada said as what Justin Trudeau said as well. So, the Canadian leader said that these would, of course, include American beer, wine, and bourbon, as well as fruits, including juices, orange juice from Trump's home state of California, from Florida, it's not California, from Florida. Canada would also target goods including clothing, sports equipment, and household appliances. Trudeau said that in the coming weeks would be very difficult for Canadians, and Americans would also suffer from Trump's actions. Oh, absolutely. Like I say, you see this graph here? Yeah, expect to see a lot of graphs, a lot of graphs over the coming week. He said that the tariffs against Canada would put your jobs at risk, potentially shutting down American auto assembly plants and other manufacturing facilities, Trudeau said. Addressing US citizens at a press conference, they will raise costs for you, including food and at the grocery store and at the gas pump. Canada now is also considering non-tariff measures, potentially relating now to critical minerals, energy procurement, and other partnerships, Trudeau said. So there is, I think, someone said about isn't Canada going to stop supplying energy to like North America or like some of like the northern states, Michigan and things like that? I'm sure Canada has said something about that very recently. I don't know whether they're going to go through it or not. Um, on that, yeah. I bought a backup mobile phone. Well, that may not be a bad idea. May not mean be a bad idea about that. To be honest, eggs don't seem bad. Well, I don't know. The price of eggs in America is apparently skyrocketing at the moment. Veep crew, you're gonna go, but yeah, see you soon. Here's more popcorn for the Mexican and Canadians for Heroes Here into Europe. Well, yeah, we're probably going to see next week, maybe, or at least in a couple of weeks, what those tariffs are going to be. Uh, I'm going to be real. I don't think these tariffs will hold for long. They're utterly unsustainable without pissing off the general public. If that's the case, why do them in the first place? Because you are right. You are right. They are unsustainable. They are unsustainable. But why do this? Why do these things? Uh, Trump is just unfettered, unleashed. There's no adults in the room anymore this time. No one is holding him back. So he's just going to do whatever he wants. That's the worrying thing. Um, yeah, Canada is one of the biggest exporters of oil to the US. Yeah, that's going to hurt them. That's why it's only 10%. If I were Trudeau, I would be putting a tariff on Canadian oil entering America. So every single time, you want to buy American, so Canadian oil and gas, America, yeah, here's our tariff back to you. Ooh, ooh, that would be fun if Trudeau did that. That would be very fun if he did that. Yeah, oil and energy on the table. Yeah, this is it. Yes. Ontario and Quebec supply power to over 1 million homes in the northeast of the US, and they've suggested that they could cut it off. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised on that. That'll get fun if you've suddenly got all those Trump voters in the northeast of the US suddenly not got power. Yeah, no shelves or eggs on the shelves of LA. Don't surprise me. Yeah, bird flu is here. Yeah, exactly. And he's stopped. And some of the other stuff that he's done. Yeah. Hope you don't get another pandemic, America. Hope you don't get another pandemic. Maggie Pie, can we talk about Greenland? Since I think that Trump is actually serious about that. Well, I'll tell you what. France apparently is meant to be sending troops to Greenland. They better step them up. better step them up. Sending them over there. That'd be very much needed. But you're right. We don't know if he's serious. We still don't know if he's serious. Like I say, Denmark is still saying no. We ain't gonna, we ain't gonna sell to you. So what does that leave him with? That leaves him with only military option. Is he serious about that military option? We don't know. But then I thought he wasn't fully serious about these tariffs either. But no, apparently he was. So yeah, maybe maybe we will see America invade Greenland. And then who knows? Who knows at that point? Who knows? Oh. This Denmark is now slapping a tariff on Ozempic for retaliation now to its threats. I mean, it's at least one May for Denmark calling America fat. That's true. That is true. What's this? British Columbia suggested we could even stop or just tax exports of rare metals critical to US military use. Schwarzenegger is now planning to export tariffs now on potash, which would be a massive hit to US farming. Yet again, so much damage Canada can do. So much damage. And the thing is, I showed at the beginning of this stream. Let me try and find it now. Where is that? Here it is. This is the inflation rates. I showed this right at the start of the stream. So this is inflation. This is the rate of inflation. Hang on, I have to make it a bit bigger so you can see it a bit better. So this is inflation starting from 2024. You can see it rise, peaking in March of last year at 3.5. And it just comes down and down and down and down until you get to September till it's 2.4. To get to about 2.4. And then what starts to happen, kick in here? Well, US elections. See, rise to 2.6 in October, 2.7 in November. December, it goes up to 2.9. That was last year. I can guarantee you, by the end of this week, inflation in America is going to go crazy. I couldn't tell you what it's going to be, but I'll tell you what, if you've been following a lot, if you've been following a lot of economists, they are all saying this could end up in a recession for America or even a crash of some sort. Like, that is going to be bad. That is going to be really, really bad for America if that happens. There we go. Is Trump just chaotic evil or just evil stupid? Well, We'll probably find out. Yeah, trigger markets and others, just no matter what. Yeah, like I say, and that is like I say, you can see that graph. That is inflation last year for America. You can see how it came down, stopped like lowest in September, and it started to go up, and then again once Trump got elected, it started going up again. Inflation, inflation is going to go crazy. Inflation is going to go crazy. It's going to go absolutely wild. It's going to go absolutely wild. I think. Patrick, I can see inflation going into double figures in America very easily. You might be right. You might be right on that. Yeah, double digits. Yeah, there's a lot of economists. In fact, let's actually look now. So we have here, yeah, Financial Post. Oh, hang on. 1 second. I just have to get around their ad block in a second because, you know. Oh, god damn it. I can't get it. So annoying. Fine. I'll disable my ad blocker for you. There we go. So, yeah, this comes from the Financial Post. Economists now rush to react to Trump's moving tariff targets. Yeah, yeah, exactly. This is what is insane. I agree with you. You know, I got a lot of right-wing Twitch streamers complaining about the prices pre-election. Now they say, "Oh, I'm okay with prices going up from the tariffs and kicking out the illegals. Wait until eggs are $40 a dozen and see how you feel then." Yeah, they just don't know. They just don't understand. Just don't understand. It is just this lack of understanding of economics, which again is complicated. It is complicated. You know, I'm not an economist, but I don't fully understand economics. But if you read stuff and you're willing to put the time and effort in, you can, you can sort of understand some of the stuff. The fun thing when it really kicks in, the bird flu thing will kick in, is when they have to start rationing eggs. When you go down to your local supermarket in America and you can only buy like 1 carton of eggs, and you're not buying 12, you're buying 6 or even 3, and that's all you're allowed for a week. Like, that's when it will get really serious. That's when it will get really serious on that. But anyway, let's go into this of what these tariffs are saying here. So President Donald Trump has vowed to unleash 25% tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada. Economists are now racing to estimate the impact on businesses and households now across all 3 nations. The potential fallout will depend on the specifics of what Trump announces, the level of tariffs, the goods expected or even exempt, and the duration that they're in place. It also depends on how Canada and Mexico respond. So, yeah, it is already clear that if Trump does put new duties on about $900 billion of goods from both nations, prices for everyday items from avocados, cars to energy are now vulnerable to increases. Trump has also warned of the imminent new tariffs on goods from China, meaning that 42% of all US imports could now be hit with higher border taxes. So, food prices. So, whether these tariffs flow through to the customer prices will, of course, be the central variable down to determines how Trump's trade policy plays out, according to Paul Donovan, the chief economist for USB Global Wealth Management. He said, how quickly would US consumers experience higher prices? Oil and food prices would likely react within a month. US stock levels determining the timing of other prices will determine the price increases. The second round price increases will also matter. These tariffs partially relate to the war on drugs, but if the political focus then shifts to broader inflation perceptions, the duration of any taxes could then be short. US egg prices, a campaign focus, have soared since Trump was elected. Food prices, rather than drugs, may, of course, matter more. These hefty new tariffs, these would now impose major risks for the Mexican peso and the Canadian dollar, while driving up the US dollar. But an early resolution would allow to at least reduce pressure on the loonie, and the peso, of course, driving the dollar down, according to analogists at ING. The administration now dealing with this US Canada Mexico situation will be likely used by markets as a benchmark for the Trump trading policy moving ahead, and they should therefore have very large repercussions for the global FT. The analysis of the SP Global ratings showed that the autos and electrical equipment sectors most expected to now take the shock in Canada and Mexico. The commodity prices sector would, of course, be hit. They are estimating that the US now has much less at risk, even though reducing the retaliation seen through sees through some of this exposure now for farming, fish, metals, and of course autos. Comparing the US output now at risk with Canada and Mexico's, our scenario suggests that Mexico and Canada now face impacts on their whole economies that are at least 11 to 5 times higher, respectively, than, of course, the impact on the US. S&P analysis wrote in a note that while looking only at the top 10 affected industries, the average impact is still at least 6 times worse in Mexico, 5 times worse in Canada than the US. So, yeah, like I say, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. Yeah, it's gonna be really bad. And I think you're right. How long and what does Trump actually want? But as he said in that press conference recently, I don't want anything. I don't want anything. I'm not looking for concessions. I don't want to renegotiate of NAFTA. Seriously, we need to go back in time, find out whoever gave that like McKinley book to Trump and just absolutely like beat them up. Like we need to find out who gave him that book, beat him up so that he never reads it. So he never has this like fixation on McKinley and tariffs. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he just wants to look good. He's not thinking long term. I agree with you on that. Yeah, Trump has been so preoccupied with gaining power, he has not had a plan on how to govern. Exactly. Um, it's going to be bad. Canadian dollar is going to crash on Monday. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. I Yeah, exactly. He never actually finished the book because he never realized how bad those tariffs were for the US. Exactly. Exactly. He quotes McKinley and South says, tariffs were good, but he clearly never finished it. He clearly never finished the book because McKinley's like economic policy and his tariffs, he had to undo them. He had to climb down from them. Then were considered a disaster when it came to those things. He clearly never actually finished that book. He just read the first part where McKinley did tariffs, and that was it. Commodity prices. The 25% on Canadian imports to the US would, of course, drive up commodity prices and hit profit margins for Canadian exporters. Production and investment in Canada would also suffer, according to Oxford Economics. The global primary and aluminium prices would fall on a softer global demand, but the higher Midwest premiums now from tariffs would, of course, rise for prices for US customers. The dominant share of the US market in Canadian exports would suggest that diverging volumes now to alternative markets would, of course, be difficult, resulting now in squeezed margins. What is this? There we go. Just randomly jump to something else. But yeah, this is going to be bad. In comparison, large US domestic steel industry and lower dependence on Canadian imports would, of course, result in a smaller price rise above baseline price for US steel prices. Yeah, I think there's going to be, this is it. Yeah, 3 scenarios. So the Goldman Sachs economists now see 3 possible outcomes. A tariff, of course, with delayed implementation, a targeting now at certain imports, or even now starting at a lower rate than rises over time, or some combination of these 3. Well, we know actually it is basically 25% from Tuesday. So these 3 scenarios haven't worked out for Goldman Sachs, but they were expecting. Scenario 1, the 25% tariff with a delayed effect. Trump can announce the 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico with the implementation of 2 or 3 weeks later. This would then leave time for negotiations among the 3 nations. That ain't happened. That hasn't happened. Number 2, a target 25% tariff, if also possible, rather than providing a few exemptions on imports like oil, the tariff might apply only to a few sectors, such as steel or even autos, or even approach that could have a months-long lead time before the implementation. So a formal investigation is required. Again, didn't happen. Number 2, a phased-in approach. Back in 2019, the tariffs that Trump announced on imports from Mexico would have started at 5% and gradually increased up to 25%. None of those. Goldman Sachs getting that prediction, getting that prediction horribly wrong on those predictions there from Goldman Sachs, because Trump is going, nope, 25% on Tuesday. Good luck, Canada. Good luck, Mexico. Oh, that's a fair point. Yeah. EU trade agreement with Canada, not implemented yet. Not all countries in the EU have signed off on it yet. I will, if I was the EU right now, I'd be whipping all those other countries saying that Canadian trade deal needs to be your number 1 priority. You need to get it done. Number 1 priority. All EU states, get that trade deal with Canada signed pronto. If I were Ursula von der Leyen, my first phone call would absolutely be to any EU leader that hasn't signed that, and basically just be like, look, you need to get that Canadian agreement signed. Like, we need to get it across the line. That's what needs to happen. Yeah. A new trading bloc, can EU? Well, we did run that, there was that thought experiment. Could Canada join the EU? Now, of course, it's not a European country, so, it can't. But, hey, who knows? Who knows? Maybe, right? Maybe we should be considering that possibility. Maybe we should be considering that possibility. Um, so what's even more concerning is he's now allowed a private person without clearance to access data from the US Treasury. Government workers have now had to physically stop Musk from hooking up his devices now to the database that contains all private information for Medicare, Medicaid, with addresses and social security numbers, names, etc. Yeah, I've heard that as well. I've like that is something else that has gone under the radar because of all this stuff as well. The stuff that Musk is doing in Doge and things like that is wild. And you know what's even worse? Musk does a lot of work with China and Russia. Is anyone willing? Because I'll bet you now, I am willing to put money on this. I am willing to bet now we find out in like 2 or 3 years' time there is a big security leak or a big security scandal that like Russia had access to like US sensitive information or China had access to US sensitive information. You know why? Elon Musk. Like I am willing to bet right now, I am willing to bet right now there is going to be in like 2 or 3 years time a massive like security breach scandal, and it's all going to be because of Elon Musk. I'm willing to put money on that. Willing to put money on that. Yeah. I'm not taking that bet. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's just too easy. It's just too easy. It's just too easy, isn't it? But you can see it happening. You can see it happening a mile away. You can see it happening a mile away. And that's what's so terrifying about it. How much? Just a tenner. Just a tenner. I'm like I say, it's just too easy a bet. It's just too easy a bet, to be honest. Too easy. I wouldn't be surprised if Musk ends up having to flee the US to avoid prison time. Yeah. Yeah. would not surprise me. Would not surprise me. Get back to Christopher on Canada. We've got everything that everyone needs: oil, uranium, copper, nickel, aluminium, wheat, soybeans, potash. Yeah. And guess what? Europe needs those materials. Europe needs those materials. Especially France. France is talking about trying to guarantee a new uranium thing because of all the stuff going on in Africa at the moment. You know, they need a better uranium supply line. Canada's right there. You know, Canada's right there. So my prediction right now is I think you might see the EU try and get this Canadian trade deal over the line. Like, I think they might try because it is in Europe's best interest to try and get that Canadian trade deal over the line as quickly as possible. Not only that, but again, if I was Starmer, I'd be on the phone to Trudeau and I would be trying to get, infrastructure set up with European partners to get infrastructure set up for oil and gas production coming out of East Canada straight into Europe. So it's doable, but it's just having those conversations and just starting those conversations. But I can see it being done. I can really see it being done. Really see it being done. But they're just gonna do it. Yeah. Lots of natural gas. Americans use 70% of our natural gas. Yeah, well, guess what? Hey, our because again of the Ukraine invasion, 35% of the European energy market was, of course, by Russia. That's no longer the case now. It can't be fulfilled by Norway. They're just energy market is just not big enough to fill that demand. They've tried. They've tried to fill that demand, but they are basically at capacity. They can't really do it anymore. At that point, we're just going to go over to Canada. We've just got to go Canada. Start getting that Canadian oil and gas over into Europe. It is the smart money play, and the faster we get that infrastructure up, the better and quicker it will be. Not only for Canada, because obviously, hey, exporting that stuff will be good for Canada, but also through that as well. Yep, that's true. There is no free trade agreement. It's only through the Pacific Partnership. But again, Pacific Partnership has its own problems. We should be really. Again, there's a massive case now for really looking at a Canadian free trade agreement with the UK. Like there is a massive case for us now to try and go to Canada and try and get a free trade agreement. But again, those take time. Free trade agreements take about 8 to 10 years to organize and to do. But maybe what we do and what we say to Canada is we do this by a sector by sector basis. This is the free trade agreement. We do it sector by sector, and we agree so that we can get stuff in place as quickly as possible. Helps your economy, helps our economy. Let's go sector by sector and start some of these conversations. I think that's what needs to happen. I generally think that's what needs to happen. And I think you start with oil and gas. I think you start with oil and gas on that. Yeah, exactly. They're the only nation that's currently not ratified it yet. Because again, the Pacific Partnership is just not worth it, to be honest. It's just not worth us being part of the Pacific Partnership. Just completely not worth it. Aligning closer with Europe feels like an natural option for Canada as the US goes on a rampage. Yep. Yeah, that's another fair point as well, Craig. Yep. Talk to Mexico too. Absolutely. Absolutely talk to Mexico too. I absolutely think there needs to be absolutely think we need to be talking to Mexico too on that. You're right. Because it's not just Canada, it's Mexico as well. But hey, opportunity there. Oh yeah, absolutely. Kash Patel is terrifying. Absolutely. Kash Patel, incredibly terrifying. Not only him, but Debbie Moore as well. Not Debbie Moore. His Attorney General pick as well. Also terrifying. Oh boy. There's a real terrifying reality that America invades. Yep. Yeah, if this is what trade leads to. This is what trade embargoes and tariffs and things like that can lead to. Because there is a fantastic book. Hang on. I haven't got it here. But it's called The History of Trade. And it's absolutely fantastic. Where is it? I can't remember where it is now. I'm sure it's called like History of Trade. I lent it to someone. I haven't got it back. I can't remember if it's called History of Trade or something like that now. But instead of looking like at history through a lens of people and things like that, it looks at history with sort of trade as being like the primary focus of what happened, and like how trade can drive like conflict, how trade has stopped conflicts from happening, how it has escalated conflicts. Fascinating book, but I can't remember where it is now. I'm sure I've got it somewhere. I'll have to try and sort of post it later. But there's a lot of very good books on trade, to be honest. But this one in particular sort of takes look at sort of like, you know, it looks at like history and sort of the lens through how trade sort of affects the history and how that's driven numerous things. Very, very good. Yeah, I need a new car. Do I buy American or Asian? Buy European, my friend. buy European. Hang on. That's it. This is it. Yes. This is what it's called. A Splendid Exchange. It's called A Splendid Exchange: How Trade Shaped the World, by William Bernstein. It's very good because it looks at how trade and how it has, you know, got a grip on the world. It's very, very good. Very, very good. But yeah, if you want that and you want to sort of understand trade a bit more, I can absolutely recommend that book. I'd also recommend another book if you wanted to know a bit more about history as well. It's called The Edge of the World, and it sort of looks at sort of how the North Sea was like the end of the Silk Road, and how that trade area developed, and the history of that trade and what goes on in that area, especially at the end of the Roman era, how it sort of kept going during that time. The Vikings really sort of brought it back in many ways. It explores sort of the Middle Ages history as well. What's it called now? The League, what do they call it now? The Hellenic League. The league of, like, you know, city states. So you had like Bruges, London, would go all the way through Denmark, through the Baltic, up through there. Sort of has a look at sort of those states, how they are part of it as well. Very good book as well. Like I say, it's called Edge of the World. Oh, who wrote it now? Hang on. Hang on. End of the World. Yes, this is it. So it's called, if you want this one, it's called The Edge of the World: How the North Sea Made Us Who We Are. Again, very, very good book as well. Very, very good book. Like I say, if you want to understand a bit more about trade, I would recommend the other one that I said, which was, I can't remember now. Splendid Trade. I always call it. I always end up calling it a history of trade, but no, it's called A Splendid Exchange: How Trade Shaped the World. Like I say, a very good book if you want to sort of look at stuff like that. That's it. The Hellenic League. But yes, thank you very much, everyone, by the way, for joining me today. We've been going over for just over 2 hours now. I wasn't expecting to go this long, to be honest. But thank you, everyone, though, for joining me today. Um, thank you very much for everyone for joining me today. Thank you very much um, for coming along. Yeah, like I say, we started about what 2 hours ago now, just gone 11:30, coming to like 12 o'clock. So yeah, I wasn't expecting to go this long on a Sunday, but no, thank you very much for joining me. I have said, of course, I want to sort of do some more live stream because I got out of the habit of doing it, so I do want to do some more live streams. Um, and I've got my videos to go and film today as well after this. So if you are, of course, haven't subscribed yet to the YouTube channel, please do, of course, come over to the YouTube channel and subscribe. Like I say, we've got videos on there. You can, of course, help support the channel by joining the Patreon page. There's the Pony Club, of course, the YouTube subscriptions on there as well. You can buy me coffee buy me coffee link as well. That's down below as well. You can also use the YouTube thank you button as well. Like I say, thank you very much, everyone, for joining me today. Thank you, everyone, for who's been in the chat today. Thank you very much. Hello to the Twitch chat as well. Thank you very much for being active today in the Twitch chat. Like I say, normally I don't get such a good Twitch chat normally as well as I have today. So thank you very much to everyone who's been over in the Twitch chat today as well. So thank you very much, everyone, on this. As always, it's been absolutely fantastic. For all of this. It's been great. It's been fun to have you all again. Like I say, I really do want to get back into sort of doing a bit more streams again because I've got a habit of it doing it as well. But as always, like I say, thank you for everyone for joining me today. It's been absolutely fun. As always, if you can't be safe, be sensible. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, everyone. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.